It is great to be out here at Fog Street Lawn Club. Great to see plenty of Nashville SC fans out here. We're with you until 9 o'clock on 104.5 The Zone, breaking down the 2024 season and looking ahead for Nashville Soccer Club in 2025. Alongside Will Bowling, I'm Lucas Panzica, and we're pleased to be joined up first by Nashville SC CEO Ian Ayre, joining us on The Zone out here at Fog Street. Ian, thanks so much. Hope you've enjoyed the start to the offseason and appreciate you being here tonight.
Oh, thanks very much. Yeah, great to be here.
Well, it's been a fun year in 2024. It's hard to believe that that's 5 years in the books. I mean, even just taking us back to 2020, Ian, when you look at the place MLS was in world football, it's an exciting time as the world kind of shifts its focus to North America as this hub of the beautiful game for the next 4 years. How have you seen Nashville embracing this new era of MLS and kind of adapting with the league as FIFA is about to call North America home for a couple years?
Yeah, it's been truly incredible. You know, I think, to think back in 2018 when I arrived in Nashville and we were kind of planning to build this whole thing, and then to be here today, to be on the cusp of next year Club World Cup, the World Cup. I was actually very lucky at the last MLS board meeting to chat with Gianni Infantino. He and I served on a board in Europe, and the FIFA president, and I was it's hard to get him excited, let me say that, and to see how genuinely excited he is and they are about bringing those two big tournaments to this country, and and Nashville playing its part in it. I mean, I don't know what our whole vision or expectation was in 2020 or 2018, but it certainly didn't have the Club World Cup and the World Cup in its mind, and I think the whole country is just tracking, and this league is tracking in such a positive direction. I think 29 teams, 30 from next year in MLS. I think 20 of those teams now have soccer-specific stadiums. So, long gone are the days where I was watching from the other side of the pond and seeing teams playing in football stadiums with football lines and thinking it was kind of for fun. We've moved on so much, and all these teams have academies. We're developing the domestic player. I mean, it's so exciting, and I think as the world peers in on these two big upcoming tournaments, it's got to be hugely positive and another big leap for MLS. I think if you look at something like the Netflix show and Drive to Survive, who'd have thought how something, one single program or series of programs could transform a sport? And I think, we have so many, we're very fortunate here that we have so many great fans in Nashville who love the game, but we also have a bunch of fans that are just getting used to the game, and then we have a whole bunch of people in Nashville, in the US, that don't even really know the sport yet, and I have to believe these two tournaments will shine a huge light on that and grow the audience, across the whole country.
NSC CEO Ian Ayre, our guest here tonight on 104.5 The Zone. So let's talk about the Club World Cup coming here to Geodis Park, coming to Nashville. What went into the process of becoming a host city, and what does that mean for Nashville as a sports city?
It's going to be amazing. The thanks really go to, definitely not to me, to a whole bunch of people that put a really huge amount of work into that. Obviously, the operations team we have at Nashville SC played a big part in that, in getting our stadium chosen. Lindsay Piola, Frank, all of the people in our operations team driving that bid process. But also the city, these things come together when organizations like FIFA see a really rounded approach, and the CVC, Dina Ivey, all of those great people did such an amazing job of selling Nashville as well as selling Geodis Park. And, as I said, the people from FIFA, we had 2 visits, they were blown away. I think it's that thing where people's perception sometimes of what's going on in soccer in this country is so different to the reality. And when they came to Geodis Park and they see that it's really a genuinely world-class soccer stadium, the biggest soccer stadium in the country, blown away. And, we'll host at least 3 games in that tournament. And, the very idea that you can, here we are, as you said, just a few years old in stadium terms, the idea that you could have a Real Madrid, I won't say Man City because I'm a Liverpool fan, but you could have a genuinely huge team like that and I think importantly, in a really meaningful game, not a pre-season friendly, a genuine tournament against, with the best clubs in world club football playing out at Geodis Park. Incredible.
It's amazing, Ian, how Geodis Park so quickly became such an elite and world-class soccer venue. It is also just an overall entertainment venue. How much of a goal has that been for you all, and what is still to come as Geodis Park with the concerts, with the different events, the different kind of things you can do on that canvas of that stadium? What is next as you look forward there?
Yeah, it was always part of the plan. So even back in 2018 when we were, it really was a drawing on a table, and, we're working with architects. There's a lot that goes on at the back of, in the sort of inner annals of Geodis Park that some people don't ever see. But, we built the stadium, ready for concerts. The steel work is, can support the stage work, the power phase, all the kind of sounds a little bit boring, but all the stuff that's really essential to deliver that. But also 5 locker rooms. We can play tournament soccer. We could play SEC football. It's literally built for everything. And importantly, the 4 concerts that we've had so far, and there will be more of that, they really bring a different audience again. I think the Pink concert, I remember the data from that, something like 85% of the attending audience for that concert had never been to a soccer game at Geodis Park. So it's, it's 30,000 people or 20-something thousand people who'd never seen the venue until that day. And we have lots more. We have more international soccer. Obviously, we had the U.S. women's team there this weekend. We have 2 conversations going on about 2 internationals, one which should be a domestic U.S. game for next year, another which would be another international country who want to come play. We've been talking to World Rugby. We've been talking to U.S. Rugby. So many different things, and that's the exciting thing for us. We built this stadium to be as many things as it can be, and it's set up to be that, and it's so great to see it playing out and seeing new people come for other sports or other events and enjoy this incredible venue that we built.
Nashville SC CEO Ian Ayre, our guest out here live at Fog Street Lawn Club. Quickly, Ian, if you had to pick one artist, one band from the history of music to play at Geodis Park, it can be current, past, who would it be?
No, Oasis.
Oasis?
I
make that happen, I think.
I have tickets for the Rose Bowl, and I have tickets for Manchester, England, so I'm a huge Oasis fan. So.
Amazing. Let's make that happen. Look, we've talked so much about Nashville SC 2.0, right, from the personnel, the play style perspective, but from the business side of things, it's almost more of a 3.0, right? What does Nashville SC 3.0 look like from your perspective?
Yeah, I think the whole thing, we think 2.0 on the playing side because, second phase with BJ and, he'll talk about that. But the whole thing is holistic, really. You can't have the business without the soccer, and you can't have the soccer without the business. And, for me, our big goal going forward from here, everything is in place now. We invested, our ownership group invested over $300 million in an amazing stadium, over $50 million in an amazing practice facility and academy. All that you need, all of the ingredients for this cake are now on the table. We've built everything. The next phase is to grow. It's to grow our audience. It's to grow the number of people who love soccer in this city and the number of people who love, Nashville around the country and around the world. And all of the things that flow from that, will be the most exciting part. It will be about bringing other events so people experience it. It'll be growing our TV audience, this amazing deal with Apple that the league has, developing that out further and getting more and more people watching, not just NSC games, but watching the league, the whole league. More people watching our games when we're on the road on TV. Just growing the audience, because everything will flow from that. If we play great soccer, we will grow our audience. We will get more and more exciting. The demand will get greater and greater. And the more the demand and the more of that, it's cyclical. We'll put more into the team. And, I can tell you, I spend a lot of time with John Ingram. And from day one, his objective has always been all the money we make, we'll put back in the team. And so the more we can grow it, the more we can develop it, the more we can achieve. And it's a, virtuous circle.
Exciting times for Nashville SC. Ian Ayre, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back in. NSC Backstage continues here on 104.5 The Zone. I'm Will Bowling with Lucas Panzica, and we are pleased to be joined by the head coach of Nashville Soccer Club, BJ Callaghan. BJ, welcome. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good. Thanks.
Let's hear it. Absolutely. Studio audience here at Fog Street Lawn Club, here live tonight from the heart of downtown Nashville. 11 MLS games, BJ, a Leagues Cup as well. Lots of lessons learned, lots of soccer played in really a short amount of time. As you look from the broad perspective at what you have learned about this team, about yourself as a head coach, how do you evaluate the first 11 MLS games?
I think we're pleased with sort of the foundation that we were able to establish, and I think there's some building blocks that were I guess put in place. But I also think one of the learning lessons is what we know that progress. You have to be patient to make progress. We're trying to build this identity. We're trying to give clarity to the roles and responsibilities to the players. And I think sometimes we can be a little bit impatient, myself included, that you want to have it look the way you want it to look, and you want to get the results at the same exact time. And so I think when we had the opportunity to reflect back, it's there's been progress made. There's a good foundation set, and I think we're going to be able to move forward. And there's a lot of optimism inside the group. But at the same time, I think we're patient and we're pretty realistic of where we are and where we need to get to.
As you look at the structure of that approach, of that process that we've talked to you about for so much of this season, where did you see the most growth within those 11 games from that first match in Leagues Cup being point A to decision day being point B?
Yeah, I think it's no surprise to the players. It's no surprise to, I hope, all the fans and all the supporters is, we talked about that we want to be a team that wanted to get on the ball. We wanted to be a team that wanted to create goal-scoring opportunities. I thought we were able to do that. I thought, it came out clear. When you look at even just individual performances, Alex Mule sets a goal record for his career with 5, and 4 came in that time frame. I think Hani, it's no surprise that he's probably underperformed in sort of the whole season. But towards the end, he started getting going. Sam started getting going. So for me, there's, those are some big areas that I think we were able to improve. The defending set pieces, I think, was an area that we were able to improve and stabilize. And I think, I think it's always been an area that the club's been good at attacking set pieces, but I thought we took an even further step forward. And again, there's some missed opportunities to put the ball away. But when you look at the progress made in, I think, those areas, we're really happy. That's a piece that we're building on. And I think most importantly, we came in and we said we were going to do something, and we're doing it. And that's, that gives, I think, credibility to everybody involved that's what we're working towards when you say you're going to do something and you actually go out and do it.
Nashville SC manager B.J. Callaghan with us on 104.5 The Zone. So on the flip side of that, B.J., with that sample size, were there any areas that you came away feeling, okay, we need to be stronger here based on what you saw over that 9-game, 11-game stretch? Anything specific that you take with you into the offseason as a high priority for your group when you start back in 2025?
Yeah, I think it's, for us, we look right back without the ball. The defensive structure, our ability to get compact first and build pressure. We still want to be a high-pressing team. We want to play on the front foot. We want to make the opponent uncomfortable. But I don't think we did it in a consistent enough way. And the second component to that, not only from a team structure, but we have to deny the access to the penalty box in a better way. We gave up too many chances. We conceded too many goals, so that even in a game where we were creating a lot of chances, we were conceding too many and left it up to chance. So that's an area that we'll focus on, in the offseason and in the preseason, is making sure that we're a much more stout defensive team. We're much more difficult to play through.
You worked with several different play styles and profiles in terms of the central midfield position, right? Players that could be versatile and be wide or inside, like a Tyler Boyd, who I know was injured during that stretch of things, but somebody that you've seen throughout the course of his career. Just curious, how does that profile at central midfield kind of evolve within the structure of your system? What characteristics do you want to see from that player and the different things he needs to be able to do?
Yeah, so I would look at it not as an individual player. I would look at it as a group of 3 or 4 players that are playing in there. We want their personalities. We want their profiles to complement each other. But foundationally, we want players that are mobile, that can move, can be flexible in interchanging positions. We want players that want the ball, that are comfortable on the ball. We want players that want to face forward, play forward, get forward. So, I think that hits all sort of like the technical aspects, the physical aspects, and also sort of the mentality. And so even though it might be a connection of how each guy relates to one another in terms of their partnership, all of them, if we talk about like what would be the NSC DNA of a central midfielder, that's that. They have to want the ball. They have to be mobile. They have to want to play forward, and they have to be comfortable under pressure to control the tempo, whether it's to speed it up or slow it down.
BJ Callaghan, Nashville SC manager, our guest here tonight on 104.5 The Zone. BJ, you guys have continued working since Decision Day, continued training and preparing for 2025. How have you used that time? You don't have an opponent to prepare for. It's a little bit of a different process than the week-to-week grind of an MLS season. How has this phase of training been a little bit different for your team?
Yeah, first and foremost, it must be said, I think you play your last game and you feel like that's the end of the season, but we're here. We're not happy with where we were. We are happy with the foundation that we set and where we can go. And we thought it was important to give the players a week off and get right back into the training environment. The focus now is on each individual player, individual development. Whether it's on the physical side, whether it's on the technical side and tactical side, constantly working 4 days a week here with them to really improve them as individuals, invest in them, because we know if we can increase each guy's capacity, then the team will rise itself in this situation. And then we're trying to infuse competition in positions. So, a complete competitive environment where we're keeping score, we're tracking things, and who's contributing to winning. Because at the end of the day, that's our goal. Our goal is to put a winning team at Geodis Park and in the MLS, and we want players that contribute to winning.
I imagine for you, too, that there's got to be a kind of a fun element, too, of experimentation, right? You can try different things, trying players in maybe different positions and just really trying things out without the consequence of an opponent that has to then be played over the weekend. Just how much have you enjoyed getting to tinker and try things that maybe you wouldn't have within the flow of the season?
Yeah, I think for us, we're trying to push sort of the comfort zones of right. These individuals. So when we're inside this individual development, it's really challenging them to, get outside that comfort zone. And you're right, when you're playing a season and you get to Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you don't want the guy feeling uncomfortable or not confident to go play the match. Now we don't have the match. So it's an opportunity to be vulnerable. It's an opportunity to make mistakes. It's really an opportunity to get in and really coach them and create a true learning and development environment for them. And that's from senior player to some of the young guys. And each of them have a plan. And we're fully committed as a I would say an entire staff. Everybody at the training center is playing a role to make each one of those guys better and to make the team better.
Is there anything specific that comes to mind in terms of what you learned the most about the group that you worked with over those 11 games as you went through that evaluation process, trying to figure out the best ways to win with your style, with that group of personnel? Does anything in particular stick out?
I would say that the most important thing to what I learned from the team is that there's an unbelievable team spirit. There's an unbelievable commitment to, I would say, each other, the club, and the city to really put their best effort forward. And I think when you have that and you couple with sort of, I said this a lot, like their open-mindedness, their open eyes, their open ears, their open, the sort of minds to want to grow and to want to go somewhere different and new. When you combine that sort of commitment to each other, commitment to the club, commitment to the city, to this sort of growth idea, when it comes together, it's been a real I would say infectious energy in the building and in the team. And when you see the work that's being done on the field and you can see it on the Saturdays, there's a lot of excitement, I would say, for the next season and where this club is going.
BJ, we've talked with you a lot about the veteran experience and the leadership you have in big figures within that dressing room and on the training pitch. When you look at guys like a captain in Walker Zimmerman with a league MVP in Hani Mukhtar, I imagine for you, what a luxury to come into your first MLS head coaching job and have personalities like that can lead the way. And I could go down the list, right? And you and I both, and there's so many of those names. What has it been like watching those leaders and those personalities kind of adjust to your system, but also continue to lead Nashville SC into this phase that we keep talking about of NSC 2.0 that they're adapting to themselves?
Yeah, of course. Strong leaders, when you have the buy-in from the top with those guys, they're able to drive the group. And I would say we look at that in terms of like there's guys that are culture drivers, there's guys that are culture glue. And across the board, we have a lot. So the group is big in that way. So that's where you see that team spirit that I'm talking about is like they're united behind the vision. But really one of the most rewarding, I would say, things coming in and being fortunate to work with some of these players, some of these guys, is, they're actually like good guys, and we have a core value that we believe in inside our team is like a level of selflessness, and we say everybody has a different role on the team, but everyone has the same status. So to watch guys like Hani and Walker and Dan Lovitz and Taylor Washington and these guys that have been with the club for a while, like watching them sort of mentor and lead the younger players and bring them up is just as rewarding as them driving the culture. I think that that's the real powerful thing, is where they're able to lead from the side or lead from behind at times and let young players like Julian and welcome a young player like Patrick into the group. Really, it's a really powerful thing when you're coming to work every day in a competitive environment that you have selfless leaders like the guys.
Last thing for you, this has been a whirlwind of a year from your time with the U.S. men's national team. You get the job here, you get this 11-game stretch, and now suddenly it's almost November. Do you get a moment to take a breather? I know it's a big offseason coming up, but does B.J. Callaghan get a few days to kind of sit back and take some time off after what's been a crazy 2024?
I wish I could say yes. Yeah, listen, I mean, right now we're in the thick of the training, but it does get a little bit less. We've shifted gears a little bit, to some of the off-season planning. So there is certainly a little bit of downtime. My family is still not here in Nashville finishing school, so I think Thanksgiving will be the time to maybe hit a 4-day pause and hopefully put my phone down as much as possible. And then, as I always say, we'll get right back to it right after Thanksgiving and start, I would say full prep for the 2025 preseason.
Let's hear it for Nashville head coach B.J. Callaghan here on 104.5 The Zone. B.J., we're excited to have you here. We really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
More NSC Backstage coming up. Mike Jacobs going to join us coming up next.
We are live on a gorgeous night out here at Fog Street Lawn Club in the Gulch alongside Will Bowling. I'm Lucas Panzica as we sit down with Nashville SC General Manager Mike Jacobs here on The Zone. Mike, thanks so much for being here and, kind of taking a look ahead at what's to come for the boys in gold.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Look, just right off the bat, as you evaluate things just a couple weeks after decision day, where do you feel this roster is the strongest and the deepest as you get into the early portion of the offseason and start to kind of suss through what 2025 will look like for Nashville?
Well, so much of this process starts maybe, 6 or 8 months ago, so rather than waiting to season end to try to weaponize our roster and put it in position for BJ to have all the pieces he needs to be successful, for us, when we look at the greater group, when you look at the depth we have at center back, traditionally, this has been one of the best teams in the league defensively, and when you have to go with the likes of Lucas McNaughton missing over 30 games, Walker Zimmerman missing over a quarter of the season between injury and international duty, between the full national team and the Olympics, the reality is that, we're excited about the idea of having our greater group back in 100%, and as BJ mentioned, these guys are training in the offseason. To have those guys training along with the likes of Jack Mayer and Josh Bauer had a great season for us. And then you look at what's happening in the growth and development, whether it's our academy or our second team in Huntsville, when you see the ascension of someone like Chris Applewhite get the opportunities he has. We think as a club, that's probably our deepest role that we have right now is probably center back.
Some roster decisions announced by the club just this week, exercising contract options on defender Lucas McNaughton as well as Julian Gaines, one of those young players that we've talked about from the back end of the season. Several players also that Nashville declined contract options on, players that are out of contract. Just how much did you lean on B.J. Callaghan and his staff after the season concluded to start to go about finalizing some of those decisions?
What's so important in our role is trying to make sure that BJ has all the things that he and the staff feels they need to be successful. And as we tried building things out, and really, even before his arrival, really we had a clear picture of how he wanted our team to play, and helped us to identify a manager that we thought could do that. And at that point, then it's taking inventory of the players we have and trying to see who we think can play in that more expansive game model and which guys couldn't. So from that standpoint, leaning heavily on BJ and his staff, and he's just been so collaborative and working with our scouting department and being really, providing leadership and some direction about things that he thinks we need to have with our group to be successful.
Nashville SC General Manager Mike Jacobs, our guest here tonight on 104.5 The Zone here at NSC Backstage. You mentioned Julian Gaines as well, and you brought in a midfielder in Patrick Yazbek in that late summer window as well. Two really good young players with a lot of potential. As you look at the pieces you have moving forward, and we talked to BJ about that individual development, just how excited are you about that individual development for those two guys, but also a plethora of young players that are going to continue to get opportunities and have a really critical offseason to grow into maybe bigger roles next season?
When you look at where this group was when the nucleus kind of first came about in our first season, it was a nucleus of guys maybe who were older than this group we're talking about now, but we're kind of in their prime. And to look at the likes of guys like Patrick Yazbek or Julian Gaines, Johnny Perez, to see exciting young players with a lot of energy, robust, contribute in maybe some different ways and make us, may look a little bit different as far as how we're trying to play. It's exciting to kind of see their roles continue to grow and what we're doing both on and off the field.
We've talked with you a lot about NSC DNA and that everyone in Major League Soccer knows what a Nashville SC player looks like. You guys have had so much success by building that from the ground up. As you look ahead to 2025, what does the evolution of NSC DNA look like? How will the profile of player maybe adapt and evolve a little bit for you?
Look, BJ mentioned earlier talking about being on the front foot on both sides of the ball and trying to be made more aggressive. I think because of that, you need to have players who are brave and are risk takers. But in regards to the NSC DNA, I mean, we're always going to have players who we think, can influence winning, can fight and compete. I think those are going to be kind of like cornerstones for what we're looking for, almost as a minimum standard to be a part of this group. You're going to have those things, and we might be looking for some different things at times, maybe tactically, and as we continue to kind of grow and evolve in what we're doing in regards to how we're trying to play, I think as an ethos, we're always going to have players who are going to embody those things.
It's funny, everybody talks about MLS, Mike, and in the context of, my goodness, how much it's evolved since 1996 with its inception. But even in the last 5 years, it feels like there's a whole evolution period that you can look at in terms of the influx of talent around the world, even in the last calendar year, right? So how has that kind of made you adapt in terms of your evaluation of players around the world and the way that you look at different avenues in bolstering the personnel of this side?
What's so great is as our league continues to kind of heighten in the profile among soccer fans all over the world, it increases the viewership from Apple TV and the ability of people to see us in many parts of the world that they weren't seeing in 1996. It opens a door for us to recruit players in different parts of the world, and for us to not only look at our own continent and trying to find the top players in North America or our region of the world in CONCACAF, to know that we have the ability now to pursue players in South America, in Africa, in Asia, as well as all over Europe. It's really exciting to think about the different opportunities we have available to us now.
What are some of the characteristics in some of the players that you and your staff have added to evaluate talent since you hired BJ, just given the different play style from the previous approach?
Well, when BJ mentioned it earlier. I think you see what he's done to help unlock some of the talents we have here. You look at someone like Sam Surridge, who we always thought was going to be a tremendous goal threat, and I think he had 4 goals in his last 6 games, and to think that he had 15 goals in all competitions in a full calendar year, it's really exciting when you think about really it's only his first full year in MLS. And BJ mentioned Alex Mule. Maybe you wouldn't necessarily look at him as a goal threat all the time, but to think that he had 4 goals during the time BJ was here, and even someone like Hani, he had 5 goals and 6 assists in his first 23 games, and in 9 games under BJ, he had 3 goals and 3 assists. So just even the existing players we have, being able to unlock their potential, maybe with a different game model, being asked to do different things. I think we've already got kind of a group of guys here with the ability to do that, and there's some opportunities for us to add some different players and some different roles to maybe not only help our greater group, but even to continue to kind of bring the best out of the guys we have.
NSC GM Mike Jacobs with us here tonight on 104.5 The Zone. As you look at 5 seasons and 5 years that have gone by so quickly, what are you most proud of with what this club has built? We talk a lot about moving forward. The foundational pieces, though, there's still so much good within this team that you want more of, that you want to build upon. Kind of taking that broad perspective, what do you just really feel has been the success story of Nashville SC?
When I talk with Ian, with John Ingram, we talk a lot about sustained success. And we look at the playoffs almost like as a tournament, like the NCAA basketball tournament. And for us, our hope is if we can kind of help BJ and the players be in a position to be in a tournament every year, that we've got a great chance to compete to win the whole thing. So for us, knowing we're able to get into the playoffs in each of our first 4 seasons, the goal for us not simply to get into the postseason, is to try to win silverware. So I was talking to a general manager of a different team in the league, and we're talking about the idea about how you define success. And he was saying he's in the playoffs this year, and he was saying, we hope to be a team like you guys. We want to be a team that we think can be in it every year. And my response was, we're not in it this year. And he said, yeah, but you guys be in it again next year. So yeah. I think the expectation that we're one of those teams that year after year we're going to be competitive and get over the line to be in the playoffs. And again, if we do it every year, we're in position to win cups.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mike Jacobs with us here on 104.5 The Zone. So we talk about the MLS calendar ending as well, but there are also leagues around the world that continue. This is a year-round job. The player acquisition process and just how never-ending is that? I guess that's kind of a bad question. What I'm getting at of you're always looking at other leagues, and this job really never stops, does it?
We always joke about the idea of the off season, almost like in air quotes. That's for the players and the coaches and the support staff who are, during the course of the season, they're in it all the time for 10 months of the year. But the reality is, like the figurative off season is probably our busiest time when it comes to things like roster construction. And I always say, to my fiance, we always try to find time to go away, maybe the October international window, because when we come back, that's the most hectic time of the year for us. Yeah. And these 2.5 months, 3 months that go now prepare for this next preseason, that's the most critical time for us when it comes to roster building. So, if you ask me like when do things slow down, I would say I'm still waiting for that to happen.
Right. Absolutely.
Maybe a big trip to Croatia and you sneak off to go check out a second division game or something, or wherever it is you're landing. Mike Jacobs, really appreciate the time, and it's going to be an exciting offseason and exciting times to come in 2025 for Nashville SC. Thank you for doing this tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Mike Jacobs, General Manager of Nashville Soccer Club. Really appreciate your time, Mike, and BJ and Ian, for joining us tonight, and appreciate everybody for coming out to Fog Street Lawn Club tonight. That's a wrap for 104.5 The Zone's coverage of Nashville Soccer Club in 2024. An exciting offseason to come, and we'll see all of you guys in 2025. This has been NSC Backstage on 104.5 The Zone.